not what I'm seeing. It's what I'm sending.
Well, you know, the fact that he's a free agent should make things a little bit better. Work with Bob is not fun for a lot of fighters. At the end of the day, I'm not sure. You know, you see what I'm wearing right now. You see what I'm representing. They've been asking me for a long time, where are you ranked, Keith Thurman? And I say, I don't know. One of the best fighters in the world. Who cares what rank they give you, what number they give you, what position they give you? You know, I do want to fight champions. I'm going to be looking forward to getting in the ring with a champion. I want an opportunity to get a world title again. So if that's the best opportunity, I'll take it. You know, I always love great fights. I love making exciting fights in the welterweight division. But like I said, you see where I'm representing right now. So this might be the ladder that I'm climbing. We know that Errol Spence, Dennis Ugas, none of these fights would have manifested if Keith Thurman didn't lose to Manny Pacquiao. So there was a shift in matchups once when I fell out of championship status. So I had the WBA, I had the WBC, I relinquished the WBC. Nobody beat me for the WBC world title, you know. So those belts I want back in my possession. I do like the fight with Terence Crawford, but we'll just have to see what opens up, what really negotiates, how stubborn we get when it comes to what kind of split there is. You know, it's just business from here on out. I do like the fight.
What's going on, you guys? If you don't know, now you know. Keith one-time Thurman got promoted to number 4 in the WBO. Funny, right? Keith Thurman seems to be getting a lot of passes from these sanction bodies, considering his wide spots of inactivity in the sport of boxing. He still seems to be able to get in position in these sanction bodies, right? He's number 4 in the WBO. He's right there behind guys like Conor Benn, Dry Ennis, Virgil Ortiz. Of course, the super champion is Terence Crawford. And that's a fight that boxing fans been looking forward to in the meantime until we get the Errol Spence Jr. fight. Hit that like button for your boy. Give me the HBO special. That's the Help a Brother Out special. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. But Keith one-time Thurman, last time we saw him was in his fight against Mario Barrios. Had Mario Barrios looking like an avatar after the fight. Keith one-time Thurman, boxing fans wondering what's next for Keith one-time Thurman. Is he going to go into a fight with Terence Crawford, or is he going to sit around and hope and pray for a potential shot at the Spencer Ugas winner? Well, Errol Spence Jr. defeated Dennis Ugas, and now it's looking like Keith Thurman has nowhere to go because Errol Spence Jr. isn't really looking to fight a guy like Keith Thurman at this point of his career. He said he's only interested in one fight, and that fight is with Terence Crawford. But speaking of Terence Crawford, him being a super champion in the WBO, Keith Thurman being a number 4 in the WBO, Jerron Boots Ennis got a fight coming up with Custio Clayton for the IBF, so he's going to be next in line with the IBF. Virgil Ortiz is number 1. However, Virgil Ortiz had a hard time his last fight, barely made the fight, actually didn't even make it to the fight, and fans are questioning if he even is going to be coming back down to welterweight altogether. So what does this leave guys like Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford? Well, it leads them on a collision course. I think Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford, the fight that should happen in the meantime until this thing with Errol Spence comes into fruition. Of course, that fight's looking like it's going to be later on this year in the fall. Now you're hearing rumors that it's going to be September 17th. I think that's cap because that's around Canelo's day. So I don't think they're going to put a fight between Crawford and Spence in September. I'm looking at the fall for that type of fight. But you're going to hear reports from certain guys that's going to tell you it's coming out September 17th. I wouldn't hold my breath for that fight to happen so soon. But Keith one-time Thurman and Terence Crawford, that fight can happen soon. It happened in June or July. This is what Bomac said. They're looking for Crawford to return in June or July. Why not put him in there with Keith one-time Thurman? Keith one-time Thurman came out recently and said that why wait for Errol Spence and Ugas winner when you can fight me in the meantime? So let's see if Keith Thurman is going to hold true to that. Now, I'm looking at Keith Thurman like what other options do he really have? Do you want to fight some of these young up-and-coming guys in the sport and really gain too much of nothing? Or do you want to go after Terence Crawford, a guy that you really, let's be honest, been dismissive of for the better part of 4 years, right? Along with Errol Spence and many of the other guys before Terence Crawford officially released from Top Rank, them guys was very dismissive of Crawford. Oh, he should do this. What has he done? Nobody wants the WBO belt. We remember everything. In Bushido Box, I got a whole playlist following all this, right? The Spence Buzz Saga playlist. Check it out, right? I followed this thing from the beginning. A lot of guys was dismissing Crawford. Keith Thurman was one of them. So now Keith Thurman is on the outside looking in. Terence Crawford is the one that's in. And now Keith Thurman is going to have to be knocking on the door and hope these guys give him an opportunity. But I say Terence Bud Crawford should give Keith Thurman an opportunity. Why? Because it's a great fight for the sport of boxing. You can't go wrong with Crawford versus Thurman. In the meantime, until we get the Errol Spence Jr. fight. But a fight between Crawford and Thurman is a fight that I always felt would have been Crawford's toughest matchup some years ago. However, looking at Keith Thurman now, his inactivity, he seemed to have lost a step. He hasn't been one time in quite some time. He don't seem as fast as he once did, but he still got a lot to go. His hands are still heavy, and he'll still lump you up if you ain't careful, right? But Keith Thurman, Crawford, make it happen. WBO likes to seem to put this guy in the WBO seem to put Keith Thurman in position, right? Now, we all know that Keith Thurman is not likely going to be facing guys like Michael McKinnison and Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, none of those guys, right? We just don't see that happening. That's just not in this guy's MO. He's not about to go fight none of those young killers. He'll may fight a guy like Barrios or something like that, but he's not going to go after any of those young up-and-coming guys that's at the top of the division. That's just not what Keith Thurman's going to do. So fans going to look for Keith Thurman to face guys like Crawford. I mean, what other options do Keith Thurman have? Sean Porter's retired. Kell Brook is potentially looking to face Chris Eubanks Jr. There's really not too many options. What you going to do, fight Danny Garcia again? Do fans really want to see that right now? Not really. We want to see one of these guys, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, fight Terence Bud Crawford. And then if they so happen beat Terence Crawford, then they be in position to face Errol Spence Jr. because then Errol Spence Jr. will have to see one of those guys in order to fully unify the division. So it makes sense for Keith Thurman to go after Terence Crawford. It makes sense for Terence Crawford to go after Keith Thurman. Why? Because Terence Crawford needs to get some activity going. Right now, Crawford could choose to sit out, but I don't think Crawford wants to do that. We've been seeing Terence Crawford in the gym helping these younger fighters, right? Crawford is a young master in the sport of boxing, so he's helping a young wave of fighters. He's always sparring. He's always training with these young guys, and he's just really just giving back to the sport. So Crawford, in the meantime, could face off against Keith Thurman. It'll be a big fight. They could put it on pay-per-view, and it'll have even more momentum going to a fight with Errol Spence Jr. later on in the year. I mean, it'll make the Spence fight that much bigger. Introduce Crawford to the platform, to Showtime, get the numbers up. Then we going to a big fight at the end of the year with Errol Spence Jr. But Keith Thurman put into position. Some fans may be up in arms about it, but I see it like this. Maybe this is the boxing gods trying to make things right, trying to give us the fight that we missed out on. Fights like Crawford and Thurman should have happened probably about 2 years ago, but we see how things play out in the sport of boxing. It never go how you expect it to go. You never truly know what's going to happen, but we can only hope for the best. Like, subscribe, holler at your boy. Peace out.